It's now time to take a look at news stories making headlines around the globe. The Governor Central Bank of Nigeria, Godwin Emefiele, has resumed duty at his annual vacation abroad. The central bank explained that Mr. Emefiele, who proceeded on leave in December 2022, resumed work this Monday. This is contrary to reports that the governor was deliberately staying away to avoid a purported arrest by the Department of State Services. In a statement issued yesterday, the Director, Corporate Communications, CBN, Mr. Osita Nwanisobi, explained that Emefiele, who proceeded on leave in December 2022, resumed work yesterday. According to him, the governor resumed with renewed vigor to perform his duty ahead of the first Monetary Policy Committee meeting of the year scheduled for January 23 to 24th, 2023. He stated that Emefiele remains committed to performing the task before him in line with his oath of office and the policy direction of President Muhammadu Buhari. Well, Governor Godwin Emefiele is back, contrary to a number of whispers around his explained that he's been on holiday and he's now back to get to work.
Yeah, it's good that the man is back. From my perspective, I don't know what the whole storm is about. If there is any reason for DSS or any of the security agencies to have anything to say to him, they should just say it. It's not good enough that there is so much rumor milling around, and it is not good for our economy, it's not good for our government when there are government agencies that seem to be all around the place trying to insinuate that there is question to be answered, but the person that should answer the question is not being asked the question in the first place. It just doesn't look good for Nigeria as a whole. If there is an issue, then that issue should be addressed very quickly. Not that we'll have this drip, drip, drip of information. He will be arrested, he has run away, he has not run away. It just doesn't look good. Yeah. It doesn't look good.
Yeah. Just a history. So we talked about this a number of times with regards to the DSS going secretly to approach a court for to have a warrant to arrest or to bring him, to detain the CBN governor, which the High Court, the Federal High Court in Abuja, with Justice Soho throwing out the case, saying that he lacked merit. After which a number of civil society organizations and lawyers had come out to say that they should, the DSS should obey the rule of law in terms of the case with Emefiele. And people have wondered why. What the charge was anti-terrorism charges or terrorism charges. And the question around this is why now? Following some policies that his office had circulated. One, the redesigning of the Naira notes, and two, very importantly, on the 6th of December, when he talked about the limits on withdrawal of cash over the counter in banks. Initially, he had said it was 100,000 Naira for individuals and 500,000 Naira for organizations, but following, and he had mentioned that if the CBN was open to listening to feedback, concerns from Nigeria, we call the National Assembly had invited him in, where he was represented by the Deputy Governor, Mrs. Aisha Ahmed, who responded to a number of questions around the reason behind the limits on currencies. There had been speculations around, but she had talked about the fact that part of the responsibility of the CBN is to create fiscal policy like this in order to address issues around inflation, to mop up excess cash in in circulation, for the CBN to have to control cash that's in circulation in Nigeria. And so these were some of the things that she responded, and I wasn't targeted at anyone. It wasn't meant to be it wasn't a policy that was person-driven or politically driven. However, we still saw a case where the DSS, despite the court ruling, there were still, attempts by the DSS, well, according to some stories, that they were still looking for him. And so people thought, okay, where is Governor Godwin Emefiele? The deadline set for this limits over-the-counter withdrawal had passed. At the end of the month, we're going to be moving away from using the old notes. They'd become obsolete. They won't be used in circulation as legal tender anymore. So a number of people had asked this question. And again, some lawyers, in fact, the report talks about Mr. Adeboruwa speaking about the fact that whilst no public officer, aside those who are constitutionally immune from being persecuted, the public officers are accountable by law. However, if the DSS doesn't have a case, as has been determined by the courts, then they should desist from, from this attempt to detain him, to hold him. And the big question we had asked Mr. K was, who is against Mr. Governor Emefiele? And the more important question, why? What's the agitation for? Why is this this penchant for wanting to get him detained?
It just looks like an effort to embarrass the man.
Yes.
That's what it looks like. Whether that's the intention or not, that's something debatable. But it looks like an effort to embarrass him, and it does not look good for this government, because the executive is made up of all of the people in the DSS, all of the people in the Nigerian army and all that. That's the executive arm of government. And if part of the executive arm of government is embarrassing another part of the executive arm of government, it doesn't look good at all. There is no other way to describe it. It's not a good thing. If the man has done anything wrong, then like a lawyer, Ebu Adigboru, a senior advocate of Nigeria, had said, they should go to court. They should take the cause and charge. Arresting the person, arresting someone before you go to court is like a weird way. If you want an interrogation, invite him and have an interrogation. Finish your interrogation, put your case file together, then go to court. His lawyer will come and he will attend as well.
Absolutely.
But to continue to say you want to arrest and you want to detain is the old Nigerian regime, is the old Nigerian way of doing things. Arresting somebody is not necessary unless there is evidence that that person might run away once you go to court. And there's no evidence to that fact.
Exactly. Well, just to mention here, our sister organization, media organization, this day had reliably found out that the president had to wade in and ask the DSS to obey the rule of law and to allow the governor of the Central Bank of Nigeria do his work. Remember, at the end of this month, the old notes, 200 naira, 500 naira, 1,000 naira notes would be obsolete and would need to. And so the big question as well, I don't know if you've seen the new notes, Mr. King.
I got a few 500 naira notes and just one 1,000 naira note since this has happened. But that actually should be the story we should be talking about, the fact that we're not having that new naira notes in circulation. You go to banks and you're told that you can only have one 1,000 naira note out of, if you ask for 50,000 or something, you can only have one. In which country is that done? UK and other countries, when they share, when they have new currency notes, it goes on. It's seamless. But in Nigeria, it looks like everything has to be drip, drip, hard work, and you have to swear and scream and shout and cry if necessary before you see it get done. That should be the issue we should be discussing.
Absolutely. Well.